Mike Ames, legal blogger. Question for Mitch. In the book, BFC, the law firm, started from the beginning because its previous firm went out of business, folded up. And so Sylvester Bowen and his partners could reinvent from scratch. There was no restrictions on them. Most of the law firms in this country really aren't in that position right now. They are already set up, as you said, hundreds of years perhaps, have been banging the law out. So how are they supposed to make this radical transition into the new world?
Yeah, it's difficult, absolutely. The legacy issues are troubling and problematic for those types of firms. So they have to do it in baby steps, right? They have to choose the clients to focus on and say, okay, this is how we're going to do things for this client, and use that as a model to bring the firm along. I mean, the alternative is to create a skunk works and create a separate, firm running side by side, and use that as the model. But there's no question about it. It's difficult, and that's the problem for version 1.0 firms, is that you're so entrenched with your legacy issues and the way you're set up that changing the model is very difficult without blowing it up or getting a lot of buy-in. I mean, the alternative is when the ball starts rolling, those firms will have no choice at some point in time but to say, you know what, sorry guys, we either change or we're going to blow up. So as hard as that's going to be, we're going to have to reinvent ourselves. But that's, absolutely, it's difficult for those two.
Maybe one of the things firms should think about is changing their language, because if you hear how lawyers in law firms describe things, you can just see that it's self-reinforcing. They talk about partners and non-partners. Well, that assumes that partnership is the goal. They talk about lawyers and non-lawyers, which assumes that lawyers are important and that non-lawyers aren't. They talk about alternative fee arrangements or alternative billing. Alternative to what? It's an alternative to the hourly rate. So every piece of the language reinforces a particular business model, which is probably broken. So that probably is the first step, just to start thinking in rather more enlightened terms about the nature of the business, which I think is one of the beauties of Mitch's book, is it challenges those assumptions.